Why is this so hard for people to understand?
Why are you voting for Trump?
All right, young lady, I'll be happy to answer that for you as somebody that is a former Democrat. I'm a two-time bone cancer survivor. I voted for Obama-Biden in 2008 based on Obamacare. And then when Obamacare was implemented, I promptly lost my insurance. I could not keep my plan. I could not keep my doctor. That put me in a tailspin of losing insurance. And then on top of that, I got penalized for not having insurance that I could no longer afford. Now, that was pre-Donald Trump political career. That had nothing to do with Donald Trump. That had to do with the Democratic Party leaving me behind, even though I voted for them. Now come along to 2016. Donald Trump campaigns on getting rid of the penalty for no insurance. And he did that. Helped my family out and me specifically. Then he campaigned on tax cuts. He did that. I got a tax cut. My employer got a tax cut. My employer then gave all 200,000 plus employees raises because the tax burden on them was less. Now, ironically enough, that company was Costco, a very liberal company that backed Hillary Clinton in the election. Not only did they give all employees raises, which mine was $3 an hour back in 2018, they raised the minimum wage from $12 an hour to $15 an hour because they specifically said the tax breaks. Donald Trump delivered on that. And there wasn't a single Democrat that voted for you and I to have more of our own money we earn. One of the people that cast a vote no was a senator from California named Kamala Harris. We did not get into any new conflicts. Our president set foot in North Korea. I don't know if you know how big that is. But the one thing I want to ask you is this. You look young, which means you're probably still on your mom and dad's insurance. So you've never had to face that dilemma as a parent or as an adult. Also, you probably don't own a home. And if you don't know the difference between a sub 3%.
Oh, I know the difference. Huge difference.
Mortgage rate versus a nearly 8% mortgage rate under Biden, then you simply don't understand why anybody could ever vote for Donald Trump. To me, since I know how all that works, my bigger question is why on earth would anybody vote for Kamala Harris? Because she's sitting here saying no tax on tips, but yet in 2023, her and Biden passed a bill, and she was the deciding vote to make this a bill where you had a new way of reporting taxes on tips, and they also were going to hire 87,000 new IRS agents to audit us to make sure the government got more of our money. Now she's saying this, just like she said she's going to protect women's reproductive rights, which got turned over under her and Biden. They could have codified it. They didn't. That's why I'm voting for Donald Trump, because he has a history of doing what he says versus Kamala Harris having a history of saying shit and not doing anything about it. That's why I'm voting for Donald Trump, because of the history we have to look back on. A good economy, good job growth. America was doing great before pre-COVID. Now, COVID would have ruined any president. I don't understand why anybody would vote for Kamala Harris. Can you answer that one for me?
I don't think anybody can answer that for you, man. I'm sorry. And the people who are going to answer it for you usually going to say that is because it's they're on the right side of history, or here's a moment that they don't want to miss. Some superficial reason that has nothing to do with policy, nothing to do with any sort of thought process behind it. Everything is all feeling. It just feels right. A woman, a black, quote unquote black woman as the president. Yeah, you know, we need to make that happen. We on the right side of history. Man, I'll tell you what, though, this was a perfect answer to somebody who asked, why do you support Donald Trump? I mean, it's baffling to me. people whom are 30 plus, not even saying you couldn't experience it in your 20s, but just 30 plus, you know, homeowners, starting a family, you know, working your job, and, you know, just taxes and everything taking its toll. Sure, in that position, I can see why, yeah, you know, we voting for Trump. But for somebody who don't face those hardships or don't have to deal with those taxes and anything of that nature, they wouldn't understand. So they're just like, oh, we don't care about what y'all going through. You know, we just don't like Trump type stuff, you know? This is why Trump was falsely charged with multiple counts. So the left could yell criminal as a defense to every logical question posed at them as well, because that's the only thing that they do now is you're going to vote for the felon, you're going to vote for this criminal, you're going to vote for this, you know, that word and this word and that word and all this other stuff, man. It's, I'll tell you what, he definitely was very well spoken in here and had a lot of valid points, it makes you wonder if Kamala Harris supporters are even real, low-key. I'm being honest, because you hear the facts. You hear, okay, she's talking about no tax on tips when she was the deciding factor just a few years ago on that. And she could have had it no tax on tips right at this very moment. And in addition to that, she could probably try to implement that now, but she's trying to campaign on it as if this is gonna, okay. Also plagiarized it from Donald Trump. Somebody said this man has something important to say about why he is voting for Donald Trump. He's a former Democrat and a first-time Trump voter. Definitely my first time voting for Trump myself over here. And I'm excited, man. I'm super excited. Somebody said, thank you, sir, for pointing out the facts about Trump and your healthcare woes. May you be healed and healthy 2024 and 2025. This guy understands what's going on. I doubt the person interviewing him knew half of the things he said or could answer any of his questions. But I tell you, y'all, it's really not rocket science. That's why I asked that question in the beginning. Plus, we need more common sense. We need more common sense, man. This woman right here, she said, let's talk real talk. And that's exactly what we're about to do. Let's do it.
So if you want to be upset and pissed off and you don't want to vote for Trump, cool, have a real reason. And stop talking about reproductive rights. Can you afford to pay your rent? Can you afford to not be on this app begging for money on lives for hours at a time because you can't pay for anything? Oh, wait, no, maybe you're going to be a content creator and then you're going to make millions of dollars on TikTok. You're not. You know why? Because the Biden-Harris administration, the left, the Democrats, the liberals, and Kamala, if she gets in the White House, are going to take TikTok away. Then where are you going to beg? Going to beg on the sidewalk because there's not going to be a TikTok. Right? You guys are focused on the wrong thing. If you don't like Trump, nobody cares. But you cannot vote for Kamala because she's black or whatever. And you can't vote for her because someone told you he's going to take away your reproductive rights. He would have done it already if he was going to do it. And there's no he wants to take away Social Security. That's a lie. That's what they're doing. I promise you, if you're in your 40s, by the time you turn 67, there isn't going to be any. You know why? Because they're sending Social Security to Ukraine. They want to save those people because they're in war with Russia, and they want to save their pensions. They don't give a fuck about the United States citizens, you dummies. Oh, I'm going to vote for the Kamala, or I'm going to not vote at all. Don't vote at all. No, don't. It doesn't matter. You vote for her, you vote for nobody. It doesn't matter. What's happening in the UK right now, where that migrant killed 3 kids and the British citizens went into the street to protest and then had to run back and hide in their houses because those terrorists the migrants who are terrorists were running down the street with machetes and knives chasing the citizens because there's no Second Amendment right there. We at least have that. Oh, she's going to take that away. She's already said that. So when the Venezuelan gangs in New York start migrating across the country, you have to keep your silly ass in the house because you're not going to be able to be outside with a weapon because you're going to get arrested. Oh, wait. And since we're talking about immigration and migrants, you do realize that Minneapolis just passed a law that they're going to sound an alarm 5 times a day that indicates when the Muslims need to pray in Minneapolis, United States of America. That's what they do in their country. So they want to come here for the freedoms of the United States country, but they want to bring their rituals and their lifestyles to this country. You can pray 50,000 times a day. I think prayer is good. But now we're going to take a tradition from another country and bring it here? You think that's not going to happen to every state in this country? You know why? Because the migrants are going to take over this country. It is not about black jobs anymore. It's not about any of that. The stock market crashed 2.9 trillion on Friday because corporate Americas, they know. They're like, oh shit, we got to get our money out of there. Because they're all running scared because they're probably thinking she's going to win. And if she wins, we're done. Yeah. And if you're wondering why Netflix gave Kamala $7 million, think about it. Take your brain from the he's going to take my reproductive rights away and just say, what was the country like 3.5 years ago? If you don't want to give him credit, don't give him credit. But it wasn't this. Can you afford to buy your kids back to school supplies? Probably not. Do you want to have to buy your kids their things so they have to share it with the whole class because the government does not give subsidies to the public schools to buy supplies for your kids? But you're like, oh, he's going to take my reproductive rights away. What difference does it make? You're not going to be able to buy food, pay your rent, pay your credit card. The migrants are going to take over the whole country like they're already doing. I mean, New York is a shit show, and I'm from New York. I will never go there again. But you guys are like this, but you want to focus on Trump taking away your reproductive rights when that's not what he's going to do. And all for you, the guys that are on here talking about, oh, look at Project 2025, dummies. He didn't write that.
Love some common sense. Telling you, it's one of my, where's my dog peeing on the floor? My bad, y'all. The dog over here tripping. Over there acting like a Democrat, man. Come on, quit playing with me, home. We need more common sense like this woman right here, man. The projection with the Project 2025 stuff has definitely been debunked and over. And people need to start thinking for themselves. That's really what this boils down to. Stop being told what to think. You know, vote person, not policy. And if you look at policy, man, you definitely, if you are somebody who believe in God and Christ and want to restore America, you definitely gonna be leaning towards MAGA. I'm just gonna say it like that. The comment says, smart lady, she definitely thinks for herself and has done research for the truth, and she knows the real story, not the Democrats in DC's version, right? Not to mention her proposal for taxing unrealized capital gains. You know that house that you bought in 2020 and you locked in at 3% mortgage or whatever, and now you're up how X much of a percent, you can be taxed on these unrealized capital gains. Thanks, but no one. I don't know what the f that meant. Yeah, I'm gonna keep it real. Maybe I'll read it again when I play this video back. It'll probably make sense to me. Dear CNN, do you sit there and talk about how the gender gap is a huge problem for Trump because Dems have an advantage with women, but you can't even define what a woman is? Also, there is also the race is close, so it means she has an equally large probe with men. Why is this a problem, bro? Anyhow, with all these comments going in a whole nother direction, I would just like to end this by saying she was spot on. Even if you don't like Trump, man, look at the policies.